I'm 70 years old, and I ruined my relationship with my kids while living in the same house as them. Not through abuse, not through absence. I was there every day, and I still got it wrong. Please don't click away, because if you have kids under your roof right now, this could save you 20 years. And I'm telling you this now for one reason. 2 years ago, at my daughter's wedding, she said a sentence about me in front of everyone. Not a mean sentence, a true one, and I have not been the same since. My name is Richard Halston. People call me Rick. I'm 70. My wife Barbara and I have been married 45 years. We have 2 adult children. My son Daniel is 41. My daughter Emily is 38. 3 grandkids. Nice house, decent retirement, family photos on the wall, and still, my kids keep their distance. But my kids don't call unless they have to. When they do call, it's short, polite, surface level. How's the weather, Dad? Yeah, works fine. The kids are good. Then they're off the phone in 6 minutes. They don't ask my advice. They don't share their struggles. When something big happens in their lives, I'm usually the last to know. And I used to think, well, that's just how adult kids are. They're busy. They have their own lives. But at that wedding 2 years ago, my daughter basically said she never felt safe with me. And that sentence broke something open. But before I tell you about that moment, the moment I realized what I'd done, you need to understand how I used to think. Because maybe you think the same way I did. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. My father worked 60 hours a week at a factory. My mother kept the house running. They didn't sit around asking me about my feelings. Nobody did. You got up, you did your chores, you got good grades, you didn't complain, and if you messed up, you heard about it. That was love. That was preparation for the real world. So when I became a father, that's what I brought with me. I worked as a school guidance counselor for 32 years, and I didn't see what I was doing at home. I thought I was doing it right. I thought I was making them strong. When Daniel brought home a report card with 5 A's and 1 B, I didn't celebrate the A's. I asked about the B. What happened in math? Do you need a tutor? You're capable of better. When Emily told me she was nervous about a piano recital, I said, "You'll be fine. You've practiced. Stop worrying so much." And I wondered why she stopped telling me when she was scared. I didn't yell. I didn't hit. I was there at every game, every recital, every parent-teacher conference. I provided everything they needed, but I never made them feel safe. 2 years ago, my daughter Emily got married. It was a beautiful wedding, small ceremony, backyard reception, very intimate. She looked so happy. And during the toasts, she stood up to say a few words about the people who shaped her life. She thanked her mother. She talked about how Barbara always listened without judgment, how she created this safe space where Emily could fall apart and be put back together. Then she looked at me, and she said, and to my dad, "You taught me discipline. You taught me responsibility. You taught me that nothing in life comes easy." She paused. "You were always there, but I spent most of my childhood wishing you were someone I could talk to." The room went quiet. She didn't say it cruelly. She said it like a fact, like observing the weather. And then she smiled and moved on to the next person. But I couldn't move on. I sat there at that table with a half-eaten piece of cake in front of me, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Barbara reached over and squeezed my hand, and I realized she wasn't surprised. She'd known this for years. After the reception, I pulled Emily aside. I said, "What did you mean by that?" And she looked at me with these tired eyes and said, "Dad, I don't want to do this right now." "No, I need to understand. I was there for everything. You were there, Dad, but you were never really with me. There's a difference." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying moments, hundreds of them, and every single one, I saw myself differently. I remembered the time Daniel came home from middle school crying because some kids were bullying him. And instead of holding him, instead of letting him cry, I said, "Toughen up. You think life gets easier? You need thicker skin." Ray. He never came to me with a problem again. I remembered when Emily was 16 and she told me she didn't think she was pretty. And I said, "Don't fish for compliments. You're fine." I thought I was teaching her not to be vain. What I actually taught her was that her feelings didn't matter. I thought I was making them strong. I was making them quiet. I didn't raise confident kids. I raised performers. Here's what I did wrong. And I'm going to be specific because generic regret doesn't help anybody. I praised results, not character. When Daniel made the honor roll, I said, "Great job," and moved on. But when he spent 3 hours helping his sister with her science project, I didn't say a word because I didn't see it as an achievement. I corrected their feelings instead of listening to them. When they were scared, I told them not to be. When they were sad, I told them to cheer up. When they were angry, I told them to calm down. I treated emotions like problems to be solved instead of experiences to be felt. I weaponized comparison. Your sister got an A in that class. Your cousin is already in college. Cheers. I thought I was motivating them. I was teaching them that love was conditional on performance. I thought providing money was the same as providing presents. I paid for everything: tuition, cars, weddings, down payments. And in my mind, that was love. That was sacrifice. But I never once sat down with them and said, "Tell me what's really going on in your life," because I didn't know how. I used sarcasm and lectures as substitutes for connection. When Daniel told me he was switching majors in college, I said, "Again? How many times are you going to change your mind?" I thought I was being funny. He heard, "You're disappointing me." And here's how I know you might be doing the same thing right now. If your kid comes home excited about something and your first response is to point out the flaw, you're doing what I did. Daniel came home in high school and said he made varsity soccer. My first words, "Are you starting or bench?" "No, not I'm proud of you," thus I went straight to the gap. If your kids stop sharing things with you, pay attention to what happened the last few times they did. Emily used to tell me everything when she was little. Then around age 12, she just stopped. She told me she had a crush on a boy, and I made a joke about it. "Oh, great, here we go. You're too young for this nonsense." She never told me about another crush again. If your kid performs for you but doesn't relax around you, that's a red flag. Daniel would come home, straighten up, put on the good son mask, tell me what he thought I wanted to hear. Then he'd leave and call Barbara and just exhale, like he'd been holding his breath the whole visit. Here's what it cost me. My son lives 4 hours away. We see him maybe twice a year. He calls on my birthday and Father's Day. The conversations are polite and empty. My daughter lives 20 minutes away, and I see her more often, but it's surface level. She tells me about the kids' soccer games. She doesn't tell me when she's struggling. She doesn't ask my opinion on the big decisions. Because somewhere along the way, they learned that coming to me meant being fixed, corrected, or lectured. And now I'm 70 years old, and I'm running out of time to change it. So here's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. I apologize. No, not a defensive apology. No, "I'm sorry you felt that way" nonsense. I said, "I was wrong. I prioritized your performance over your heart. I made you feel like you had to earn my approval. I'm sorry. I stopped trying to fix everything. When Emily calls now and tells me she's stressed about work, I don't jump in with solutions. I say, 'That sounds really hard. Tell me more.' and then I shut up and listen. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, because my instinct is still to fix, to solve, to teach. But I'm learning that sometimes people don't need answers, they need witness. I started asking questions instead of giving advice. What do you think you should do? How are you feeling about that? What would help right now? I tell them I love them, out loud. Not because they achieved something, just because they exist. I own my fear, because here's what I've realized. I wasn't hard on them because I didn't love them. I was hard on them because I was terrified they wouldn't be ready for the world. I thought if I didn't push them, criticize them, correct them, they'd fail, and their failure would be my failure. But all I did was push them away. 3 months ago, something happened that gave me hope. Daniel called me on a Tuesday night. Not a holiday, not a birthday, just a random Tuesday. He said, "Hey Dad, do you have a minute?" And my old instinct kicked in. I thought, oh no, what's wrong? What does he need? What do I need to fix? But I caught myself, and I just said, yeah, I've got time. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, I've been thinking about leaving my job. The company's going in a direction I don't believe in, and I don't know. I feel stuck. The old me would have jumped in immediately. Well, do you have another offer? What's your financial situation? You can't just quit without a plan. But I didn't do that. I said, that sounds really hard. How long have you been feeling this way? And we talked for 47 minutes. He told me about the politics at his office, about a project that got killed, about feeling like he was compromising his values for a paycheck. He wasn't asking me to solve it. He was just sharing his life with me. At the end of the call, he said, "Thanks for listening, Dad." And then he said something I'll never forget. "I almost didn't call you, but Mom said you've been different lately. She said I should give you a chance." I had to pull the phone away from my face because I started crying. 41 years. That's how long it took for my son to feel like he could call me just to talk. But he called. That's what I'm holding on to. So if you're a parent watching this right now, here's what I need you to hear. Your kids don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be safe. They don't need you to fix their problems. They need you to sit with them in their problems. Stop praising only outcomes. Praise effort. Praise kindness. Praise the attempt. Stop correcting their feelings. If your kid says they're scared, don't say, "Don't be scared." Say, "I hear you. That sounds scary. I'm here." Ask more questions than you give answers. What do you think is more powerful than "here's what you should do"? Let them fail without a lecture. Let them learn that mistakes don't cost them your love. Stop comparing them to siblings, cousins, or your own childhood. It doesn't motivate. It erodes. And here's the big one. Stop talking so much. I spent 20 years talking at my kids. I didn't spend nearly enough time just being quiet and listening. If you're hearing yourself in my story, good. That means you still have time. Because I'm 70, and I can't get back the years when my kids were 10 or 15 or 22. I can't redo the 1,000 small moments where I chose criticism over connection, but you can. Your kids are going to remember how you made them feel more than anything you taught them. They're going to remember if home felt like a place they could breathe or a place they had to perform. They're going to remember if you were someone they could cry in front of or someone they had to hide from. I thought I was making my kids strong. I was making them lonely. Don't do what I did. You still have time. And if you've already made some of these mistakes, like I did, it's not too late to own it, to apologize, to change. I'm trying. My kids are starting to soften. It's slow. It's awkward sometimes. But I'd rather spend my last years rebuilding a bridge than pretending there isn't a canyon between us. If this hit home for you, leave a comment and tell me, what's one thing you're going to do differently this week? I don't have a lot of time left on this earth, and I want to spend it passing on what I've learned the hard way. Hit subscribe if this helped. I'll be here as long as I can. Thank you for listening.